Welcome back, everybody, to Mystics at the Grocery Store. We are here and excited because today we're talking about how you can support yourself on your spiritual journey, which is something that has touched all of our lives. And it's honestly why we know each other because of some of the support that we sought out. But yeah, I think am kind of embarking on like trying to get to know yourself better and understand your spirituality, there comes a point where you're kind of like, okay, what do I do next? How do I handle this thing that's coming up? Why does this feel so difficult? Is there anybody that's experienced this before? How could, like, there's just a lot of questions that come up. And I think it's very comforting to know that there are a lot of communities out there that are able to support you. And there's a lot of different services and tools that people have that could match, your kind of way of functioning or things that interest you or just kind of fit your flavor of what you prefer and how you like to go through those mental processes of you kind of transforming and moving through your life. So, we wanted to talk about that because we wanted to make sure that we also communicated to all of you listeners what we offer to our communities and the services we provide. But we wanted to kind of open it up with just our personal journeys of when we sought support and why. And, maybe that'll resonate with you and you might want to work with us if something resonates. So, Melinda, why don't you start us off? How did you kind of journey through your spirituality and what kind of piqued your interest and how did you reach out for support as you moved through?
It was it's been a long, cyclical, spirally kind of process, as you probably all can relate to. Nothing is linear,
Yeah,
and things come in little golden breadcrumbs,
that's a good
which
way
you
to put
have to
it.
just follow them. And it began with just a recognition of my not happiness state in life, of where I was. Something felt really sad within me, really lonely within me, that I couldn't quite understand. And I didn't understand how my intuition worked at that point. I had a great deal of intuition, but I had repressed it or denied it. And that was in part what was making me so sad. But I didn't know that yet. And I just was having experiences even where I felt like a aspect of myself was coming out of my body and looking at me from the side. And it was almost like this schism, but it was being brought to my attention for a reason of like, look at yourself now, and it was just, and that I understand to be an aspect of my higher self now, something that was really came for a reason. And I started to pay attention in little, like as I said, golden breadcrumbs that just sort of, first is just acknowledging what is going on within you, and then allowing yourself to wonder, and then allowing yourself to explore or sort of reach out. At the time, I went into therapy initially. I love therapy. Um, it's, it's just, it's a safe place to sit and process. And I really needed that. And that was an aspect of, in the beginning there. I read books that kind of called to me. I kept thinking my answers would be in a book
Mm-hmm.
and that I just wasn't finding the right book. But of course, the answers are within. But that's the process. So it started with that, and then there just came this time where I started to recognize other things, like I had some body pains and imbalances, and I thought I could fix it all myself, and I started to just have realizations I can't fix it all myself. So it started at the level of body too for me, because body, I work with my body. I'm a dancer, I'm a circus artist. You know, body is important, and I'm teaching, and I don't want to be in pain or out of balance as I'm teaching. So I can't be fully present if I'm in pain, right? For everybody.
Yeah.
So I found, or I was guided to my body worker, the magnificent Ellen Halpern, who I interviewed on my other podcast.
And it was wonderful.
God, she's so amazing. And she was one of my guides and is one of my guides, like an earth angel type of person, you know, who helped me understand my body and like rebalance me to the point where I am in balance now. My hip, you know, my hips are in the right place. Like I don't know all this stuff, but long story short, and then we can come back later. But she was hosting some like psychic teacher events and invited me to come. And I started to also learn about various ways of connecting to intuition and to be, you know, become connected into the psychic dimension and faculty of myself. And before that, I had been like, I don't, what's a psychic going to do for me? I don't need a, you know, like I need to figure out how I'm going to pay my rent. I need to figure out, you know, it's like I was really closed off. And let me just say, long story short, I became quite open. And I had an inner child healing with her, with this teacher. And I felt my energy body in such a way. I began cleaning closets. I was like, what is going on?
Let it all out.
God, my behavior changed. And I felt this lightness.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to understand that this was where I was going. So anyway, it kept going. It's been an incredible like adventure and I've sort of been doing it on this path, like very deliberately for the last almost 20 years now. Cause now I turned 57 this year, which is a magic 12 number. So anyway, I'll stop there, but like that was the beginning.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. And I love how you put golden breadcrumbs. I think
that
that's
was
like,
perfect. I
oh my
loved
gosh, it's like
Loved
the
it.
exact way to talk about, yeah, these paths. But Adrienne, how about you? Go ahead.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was taking notes. You know, I'm in so many different rooms. It's amazing, really is. So I'm gonna kind of go backwards. I was at a low point as well. I was at a very low point. And prior to that, I was seeking out psychics and mediums. And it was like, and I think my questions were like, I even went under hypnosis as well and therapy.
Oh.
And I don't even know what I asked the psychic. I think I just went in to say, tell me whatever. And, you know, she predicted, you know, the girls and all this kinds of stuff. And, you know, just things like that. And things that she was like, you're always going to be in search of intelligence, some type of intelligence. You will always be. And, you know,
Yes.
some kind
Rings
of
true. It rings true.
like, wow. Okay. Well, you know, and I took that as okay. You know, I really didn't know where, you know, it was just the rat wheel, you know, I refused to be a hamster. Maybe a hamster's a little bit cuter. I really don't know. But, and then my questions were just like, where is this? What is this? What? Yeah, it just was like, there was just this big question and I didn't even know what the question was. So, you know, so I've got the psychic, and then I went to my brother had passed away, and my friend hosted a medium, and we went to him. And again, I got messages of you're always going to be searching for information. Don't let that stop you. Continue on your journey of search. And I was like, F, does this even? Okay, yeah, all right. And you know, again, things were repressed. You know, things were poo-pooed, conversations that I had about what I experienced it, other than with the circle of friends that I had brought me to these things. And I was like, okay. So I actually had to have a tower moment. Like the universe kept saying, boom, 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 here, Adrienne, boom, here's the answer. And I just, boom, boom. So I had to have a tower moment. So once I had that tower moment, I was like shaken. So much so I had lost so much weight. People thought I had, well, I was sick because I had been shaken so much. But um, I did see myself in that out of body experience as well. I think I told you guys there was this section in my house that was a wall. Was like there were windows everywhere, and at the Empire there's windows everywhere, and there's only so many places you can go and not be seen. And I used to go up against that wall and just slide down. I don't understand. Why aren't I happy? I have beautiful children. I have money. And I was like, just never knowing. So out of body experience was just there. Didn't say any words, just there. So I kind of knew there was something on the other side of it. And then my grandmother died. And I actually connected this additional person to this grandmother wisdom. She's saying to me, you've got to. So I've got my brother saying things to me. I've got my grandmother saying things to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then the therapist, and she was just like, all these things are absolutely possible. Absolutely. And then she asked me a question that blew my freaking mind. What legacy do you want to leave for your children? I was like, what? That is now my responsibility too.
It's too much.
Just feed them and raise them and nurture. Okay. I actually looked up the word legacy, started thinking about it, really started doing some ancestral kind of digs and things, looking at the way that my mother reacted about certain things and her triggers. And what I love about the therapist is that they get you to ask those questions that you really didn't have words to ask for yourself. And then once you hear them out loud, you're like, oh, that's the way to frame it. Okay, well, now I know that language that I can bring into. And then my journal writing started. And then she introduced me to this circle and she introduced sound therapy. I realized at that point it's all about healing yourself. And there are things out there in the elements in the world that will allow you to heal yourself. So I started eating differently. What I was putting on my body was different. I jumped into essential oils, amazed with how they can help you as well heal yourself. And the aromatherapy, and it all cycled from there, just continual and just more and more and more. Oh wait, there's something else. And then of course, Reiki. I had a girlfriend that passed away, and she was going to a Reiki therapist. She had to go all the way to New York. I was like, this is ridiculous. You've got to go all the way to New York and take 5 trains and da 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 da. She has since passed away, but she was the one that introduced me to Reiki, and it kept coming back in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then finally, I just like, what is this? What is this? And typed it in the computer and started looking at some things. You know what? I need to learn about this. So I went and got my first session. I'd actually never had a session. I actually went and got tuned, and that was my first session as I was learning. And then that was just additional proof to me that yes, there's more out there to support us. And it doesn't have to be a specific way. Everybody's unique. Everything touches somebody in a different way. And I started really paying attention to mindfulness for myself, my self words, and what words I was saying out loud. And then that empath just started coming through. So that's how I started.
And you are a walking divine, sacred emanation of all that you've ever learned. I have been your roommate, and I have smelled the divinity of like your essential oil collection. And Adrienne travels. It is like, yes, living
She
with
travels
her is like
as
sacred temple.
Yeah, she brings the temple with her.
Yeah, it is incredible. I learned so much just from like all of those essential oils. My God, so beautiful. And cards.
Another
and
episode.
Another episode.
Yeah, that was really great, beautiful. Setting it up, and it was nice. Yeah, thank you, ladies.
Yeah, I love the similarities between our journeys. And I love the acknowledging of the golden breadcrumbs because that's exactly what happened to me too. And I'll say, I think I was fortunate growing up that like counseling and therapy was a part of my life, like even from a young
Mhm.
age. And I think that gives you permission to be introspective. And I'm not sure if everyone understands that until you kind of get into those experiences of like talking through things like that. Um, and I also, I think, I think my parents were concerned at first because I was so introverted and I was so different from all of them and like quiet and, just in myself. And so they put me in like counseling very early on. Um, I think to make sure that everything was okay. And it just always gave me the tools, and the journaling was a tool from very early on. And I can remember having like a little personal diary since I was like able to write basically, and just
Mhm.
writing out my feelings and knowing how much that was like helpful. And um, yeah, just thinking about the permission I was able to give myself to be honest with how I felt was huge. And then just thinking about like, yeah, I think you get to a point where I think I was a pretty intuitive kid, and I think I had experiences that were surprising to me, intuitive experiences, like interacting with energy that I didn't understand. Nothing like super crazy or anything, but just being able to sense like, oh, something is, I feel something. I'm understanding something. But it wasn't until like my, you know, much later that I found energy healing out of kind of curiosity, because I was just like, I feel like there is this brewing, like, how can I perceive this? How can I feel like there's energies around me and I'm just trying to understand. And I did have quite a fearful like nature of what I couldn't see. And I always joke about this like in our classes and with some of our teachers that like my rule to whatever was there was like, I am not seeing you. Like, do not scare me, or I am leaving this work for good, all of that. But yeah, and so I found energy healing in it, and what I initially found was very like self-healing. And I sought support for that because I had done yoga, and like in yoga you're kind of taught like how healing your breath is, and so everything kind of like drops little breadcrumbs of like, oh wait, our breath is healing. Oh, okay. Like that's really interesting. And then yeah, just finding like taking a chakra class just on a whim from a friend and learning about the chakras. And then that just kind of like set me off. I was like, okay, well, how do I work with this? So then it led me to energy healing. And then when I learned more of how to heal myself with my own energy, I was like, well, surely I can find other people to show me how I can help others. And so everything just kind of led to like finding knowledge through, mentors and classes, and like, and it just was like this breadth of knowledge that like unlocked, because it was like you can ask all these people like, oh, I had this experience and I don't understand it, like, have you ever experienced that? And they're always going to be like, yeah. Like
God, I'm getting
totally.
chills. Getting
Yeah.
chills.
Yeah. And so I just kept pursuing it, and I'm so glad that I did, because um I found what our mutual teacher Yolanda Williams and all of her classes, and it was just like the world opened up. And um the people that gather in that community, everyone had so like such varied backgrounds, and yet we had like all of these shared experiences. And when you find these groups of people that are all kind of on this spiritual path, that are just trying to kind of understand themselves and heal themselves, and move forward, it's like the conversations are just totally magical and totally supportive and mind opening. And I think what I liked what y'all were saying, um, both of you were saying like that you were open. And I feel like that's like the key. Like as soon as you're open to being surprised by, you know, whatever's happening around you or whatever information you're understanding, that's like the floodgates open, and it's just like you can find so much information and you can understand yourself on such a deeper level when you're not holding yourself back or being too critical of like what you're experiencing or how you're experiencing it. But yeah, just finding people along the way that had been there and in their own I feel like I use this word way too much, in their own flavors.
I love that word.
It was, you know, they've had their unique journeys and they then present the information in the way that resonates with them. And it was huge. I mean, I went to like, before I was even attuned to Reiki and took my first class, I went to a couple Reiki circles here in town. And it was a different kind of Reiki than what I had heard about. And so initially I was a little bit like, well, is this as legit as like the other one I've been researching, you know, whatever. But still, all those people were like, there were some people that had been doing Reiki for a year and some that had been doing it for 15 years. Like you get in these rooms with people and share stories and share experiences, and you watch and observe how they, you know, I like Reiki circles kind of in that way because you see people how they do Reiki and how they hold themselves, and it's just incredible. So yeah, that's how I kind of came around to finding like the support and just like you said, Adrienne, like constantly just seeking more information and taking classes and all of that. And it's just completely opened up my world and led me down a path of like understanding myself on such a deep level that I don't think I would have done if I hadn't have been open to the spiritual journey of what life is. But yeah, really wonderful.
Beautiful.
I
Yeah.
what it,
Stories.
I wrote down that fit for flavor. I don't know which one of you said it. I think Melinda said it fit the flavor. I was like, oh my God. And then the golden breadcrumbs.
Mhm.
Um, what I really was resonating with is like that permission to be introspective. Because
Mhm.
I was that person too. Breakfast, clean up the dishes. I'm going back upstairs to do my puzzles or to do my reading or to do my
Mhm.
writing. And it was always like, why is up there? What you doing? It's like, by myself. I'm in my own thing, you know? So,
Mhm.
um, and then what I just came to me, like one of the legacies that I left is I do my journals for my girls. Immediately, I started buying them things for them to write in. And they understood and knew that it wasn't about reading the other person's
Mhm.
journal. That's not what that was about. Um, and yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's one of my legacies. I didn't even think about that. Um, and then with chakras, I was so scared to even go down that road. I'm like, there's so many colors. There's
There's
so many
so much.
descriptions. There's so many locations. And here I am studying astrology with how many different planets and how many different signs and things of that nature. And I giggle now because it's like, there was just something about it. It was just like, you're not ready to open this. Maybe there was a part of me that was like, not yet. Let's just get you to really understand that you have the power within yourself to
Mhm.
do this healing as well. Um, and now it brings me to that point where um, I came from disempowered to empowered. And for
Mhm.
me, that was part of that huge part of the journey. And I was like, oh, that's another legacy. So I was jotting that down as well. But what was coming to me, Melinda, when you were talking about your journey and um, Rosalyn, I love that you were introduced at an early age to start asking yourself those internal questions. And Melinda, my question for you is with the body movement that you've known since coming out of the womb, do you feel like that has been something that you tap into with the body movement when you're just at a place where you're just like,
Cannot
I need to
function.
move. I need to answer, you know, like is it something you
Oh
come back down
yeah.
to?
Yeah. I would say that's a great question. Yes. I mean, it's a huge resource for me to have had a life, where, my mother was already just belly dancing when I was in utero. Like I have
I love that picture.
photos, yeah, where she's pregnant dancing outside for a huge crowd. My father was playing music as she was dancing, and there I was in there, vibing with hippies and matriarchy. And out I come and into that, the world of the snake goddess. And absolutely, like movement and has always been like my temple, my body has always been my guide, and like a sacred guide. And interesting. And that makes me think about gosh, I even tell people when they're in my classes and they're a little bit maybe there's a student show coming and people have never performed in front of people before, they're nervous about it. And because I got to also grow up in Greece with folk dancing and people together and this community and this frequency of support, of communal support, where everybody dances together, and that when you go and you're to the center of the circle and you're dancing, everybody around you is supporting you and with you. Nobody is separate. Everybody is understanding that this is where it's at. There's no, it's not about separation and show off and da da da. It's like we are all in this together, and we are all like being fed by like some Dionysian energy. That Dionysus is the god of revelry, and I mean wine too, but it's not just about, it's not drink, it's just that spirit of great joy, happiness, and expression in that way without self-consciousness, and then the whole community around you. So, and I think in our culture, or in our society in North America, there's a little bit more, there's repression of body instincts and joy in the body, and or just like people go to the club and drink and then they're down. But like I don't need to drink to be in that state. Like it's constant for me. I could just jump up and be dancing on a table at any time, after having my water. It's no problem. and but I just remind everybody, like, just summon that energy when you are going on stage, like you can't, it helps you release fear. It helps you be in your joy, and if you look out there and you get attached to, or you start thinking, oh, what are they thinking of me? Like then you've already kind of lost it, Can't think about that. You gotta tune into the this other energy of the communal support. Like even you're surrounded by these like dancing spirits who really want you to be feeling joy and showing your love of life. And we are all like, just our body is just one aspect of the energy that's like flowing all around, that is part of us and like moving through us. So yeah, that's a really, I don't know what happened here. I just danced into some answer of some sort. I don't know what happened. Oh,
No,
Well,
it's really good because Rosie had said that our breath is a way we can heal,
mhm.
and now you're talking about how our movement is also another way that we can heal.
Yeah.
yes. Our movement is, we can channel sacred geometry through the body. We can move in circles and spirals. And, it's not just applying technique. It's like embodying these healing shapes and frequencies. And that is what I teach in the belly dance realm. And now that I understand how energy works so much better through all of our work with Reiki and my shamanic teacher and it's just like all names. If we didn't have language, we'd all be dancing through the body and expressing, and like also like communicating telepathically, which we are already doing. And, whether we, understand this technology or not, like it's, we can express through body language, through our energy, through our intention, and it's real and it's true, and we're always spell casting in all kinds of ways. And so we, we need to be mindful about that. But so in the end, like, I think you guys would agree that no matter kind of what technology we're working with, Reiki, astrology, card reading, that we all kind of, it comes down to the breath, the motivation, the intention, just an understanding of a full potential of universal possibilities. And then we kind of have to listen to like what our little unique spark wants to know about. Your curiosity is your guide. Your curiosity is what you have to pay attention to and feed. I know Rosalyn can speak to the feeding of the two wolves because her business is Two Wolves Wellness.
Very true.
Yeah, right?
No, I love what you say. And what was really sticking out to me was the mirroring of like individual journey versus communal journey. I think to have the most balanced, healthy understanding of yourself life, you need both. Because I think what all of our stories were kind of saying was it was in the isolation that we felt something was off. And like in the individual journey, we felt something was off. And there may have been moments where we weren't sure if we could find support or like go outside of ourselves for whatever we were seeking balance with. But then the beautiful story of like all the different versions of community showing you examples of how to move, breathe, look at yourself. Like, I guess that would be my biggest hope for anybody listening is like, you don't have to do this alone. And honestly, it's better if you don't. Like, it's better if you reach out and find people that resonate with you and can help you on your journey and can, give you information that unlocks things within you. Because you don't have to do it alone. And it can be really intimidating and difficult when you think that you do. And yeah, I love the visuals of Melinda's like literal embodied community that like you grew up in, because it's like, oh, that's such a unique experience. But I think we can all look at our lives and kind of find those little pockets of similar things that kind of always, I mean, even when you're growing up, you have like your little friend group, and that's the part that like lifts you up. You get excited to be around those people, and you know that you can gab and complain and like work through your dramas together. Like, and then as you go through the spiritual journey, there's a really loving spiritual version of that too, in so many different ways. But yeah, Melinda, do you want to tell, you kind of mentioned the physical offerings you kind of have, but do you want to talk about any other offerings that you have?
Why, certainly.
I just for people to know in case they resonate with you and want to,
Yes.
work with you.
I have a back room called Speakeasy Reiki that I created to go beyond the physical.
Back room, like it's illegal.
Well, I mean, Speakeasy. I wanted to have that be, kind of the vibe of like, come on in. It's kind of fun and private and safe and away from prying eyes. And also I was being kind of tongue in cheek because, I mean, there's nothing to do with alcohol, but it's spiritual, it's spirits. It's, yeah. And also just ironic because I have so many linguistic twists. Everything is like wordplay with me.
Open. Yeah, we got it.
So within that space, I have different offerings. Like I'm going to call it the energetic blueprint for empowerment. And different ways of kind of looking at your current questions and your current energies. A lot of people come in conflict with themselves about to make a decision, trying to come to terms with something. And so this blueprint kind of looks at where it uses some Reiki principles, but you don't have to know anything about Reiki to kind of get something out of it. So for example, the Gokai, which are the principles, the 5 principles of Reiki, just for today, do not anger, do not worry, be grateful, be true to your way and your being, be kind to yourself and all living things. This is just one translation. There are many from the Japanese, but these are like beautiful, like guiding principles and points of investigation that I like to use. So in particular, like if one of those resonates with somebody, like it's just a starting point. Like what's pissing you off right now? That's an entry into your spiritual life. Let's go there. Let's talk about it. Like, and we'll do a card reading around, you know, so there'll be a conversation and then a card reading will address, and I'll use tarot, I'll use the Energetic Alchemist Oracle deck to tune into like a spread that's just for you and your questions. And usually what happens is underneath questions there's a desire of the heart to be understood. There is a desire of the energy body to communicate with you in ways that you haven't maybe allowed, or there hasn't been space held for that. Those things emerge in these kinds of alchemical conversation. You can't operate from the analytical mind all the time. You know, this happens sometimes, you know, and sometimes people laugh and sometimes tears come, and all of that is healing, all of that. And we don't get fixated on these things. You allow energy to flow through conversation. Energy flows on the word, energy flows on the breath, energy flows through the tear, whatever. In the end, it's all about like going, oh, this is how I feel. And these are different ways I might be able to use my tools to cope with this. And even the question you come with might not be the real question, you know, that's really underneath it all is another question, or a broken heart, or which your heart is never broken. Okay. Your heart is so strong and it is trying to talk to you and tell you how strong you are all the time. That's what I believe, you know, but there is like the heart carries so much information. And we are up here in the head and the analytical mind all the time, trying to figure stuff out, trying to control everything, trying to do the, you know, like trying to prove stuff, da 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 da. And this like, so Speakeasy Reiki is a place to like drop down into the body, into the heart, into the energy body. And then after all of these kinds of things are raised it through card, then there's a little energy healing. You know, after all that, you know, you need to relax, you need to restore. And there is a little Reiki treatment where it's just pure divine energy that is flowing through in and around us. But now you are receiving insights from the symbolic realm, from your own internal divine imagination. Like sometimes all kinds of wild things can happen that are very normal, actually. We just are not used to talking about it, you know. And so there's no words, you're fully clothed on a table, you know, and things sometimes it's just about rest and restoration. And sometimes I really think that within each of us is a creator, a creative energy that wants to be expressed. And that a lot of the times we are sad and depressed and cut off because we aren't really accessing what it is we truly want to be creating in our life creatively. And so a lot of times I've found that clients will get an image of like, oh, I don't understand. Some image will come that then it is the image to work with, you know, as their homework, as what they continue. Like it's a message from the soul, you know, that comes through in symbol or in feeling or in movement. And it's It's a little golden breadcrumb for you. It's not like you come in and boom, we're not going to the doctor and I'm going to give you a pill. It's co-creation energy that gets like sparked in the session. So yeah, that's how I would describe the way I most like to work right now, you know. And then
Beautiful.
yeah. How
And
about you guys?
well, and I just want to say too, for anybody listening, we will make sure to put all of our information in the show notes so that you can find out where to kind of find all of our stuff so that you're not like, wait, what did she say the name was? What? We'll include it. So don't
What?
worry. Adrienne, you go ahead. How are your services evolving? What are you offering at the moment?
Well, I think that Melinda did a really good job explaining, like, overall how things actually come out, how things actually, like,
Mm-hmm.
what is it going to do for me? Well, this is what it's going to do for you. It's going to open up some questions. It might even give you those words that you didn't have in order to ask yourself those questions. It's about learning a different language, whether it's movement, whether it's internal work, asking self these types of questions. So for me, it really is about empowering. I mean, I can't even say it any differently. If I just had like mindfulness, empowering, um, those are words that I would definitely use, because for me, it's about like taking, like letting you find your voice. Like, I don't want you to be afraid of where you are on your journey. It's your journey. You're the actor. You're the main actor, the main actress. And I want you to feel um, empowered, not to keep continuing to use the same word, but empowered through awareness of yourself. So many of my things that I offer, whether it's the workshop for entrepreneurs about the asteroids, or whether it's a mindfulness workshop, um, but these workshops are designed so that you start to see that you as an individual are amazing, and to be okay with being amazing. Um, I do the astrology as well, so that you can see, like, these transits are just happening to you. You know, yes, they are occurring. What if you use them to your advantage? Knowing about them helps you to use them to your advantage. Oh, that's why this is coming up, or oh, that's why I'm being triggered in a specific way. But what is it really asking me to do? What is it asking me to say? Saturn is saying what? Discipline, structure. Wait a minute, I don't really feel good about that. Why does that make you feel sticky? So these types of questions, they start to open up. You start to see a different way um, in which you can choose to react or not react. A way that you can see um, how you could potentially speak and help others. That's the kinds of things that I tend to focus on, and I love to focus on. Um, my most recent Reiki session was this. Just woman was just in constant fear of loss. And we just worked through it, and we just kind of moved things around. And there was this discussion afterwards. And she needed to hear the words that, oh, it's okay to fear loss. Knowing that you fear it allows you to be more present with those people that you're currently fearing the loss of, you know? And then she was like, oh, I never even thought about it that way. So I'm a coach. True and true, I'm a coach. If I don't know something, you have a question for me, I don't know it, I'm going to start digging and try to help you to find it so that we can get through it together. I can help you hold your hand over the slippery rocks, that kind of thing when you're on your journey. So for me, and I forgot where I was going with this whole coach thing, but it definitely is about empowering. And I love to see the eyes at the end, or when they get to a stepping stone and they realize, oh, I do have control over. I also work with teens during the summer, and we just go over their astrology chart, just the person planets. And they're like, so I have a choice in how I respond to people. So I have a choice in how I'm reacting, how I feel about specific. They love it. Their parents love it. And again, I'm not, somebody asked me, do you consider, and I know I'm not really giving complete answers here, but this is who I am. But somebody asked me, oh, so now you're an influencer? And I was like, no, I, I if I had to be an I word, I'd rather be an inspirer. I want to
Yes.
inspire people. I don't
Yes.
want to influence anybody to do anything. Empowerment doesn't come through influencing, doesn't come at being spit at and told da 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 da. It comes from opening your perspective, maybe seeing another way, even if it's a situation that happened with a best friend and this best friend came at you wrong and you're like, well, let's just look at it from their aspect. So even that opens up another perspective and it gives you the grace. It gives you that love so that you can start speaking to yourself nicely and others nicely. So it's about mindfulness, empowerment, the cosmos. I love to bring the cosmos and challenges, how to work through a challenge. And gifts, how to acknowledge your gifts when you have them right there in front of you. And then you're empowered because you realize that gift is mine and and then you stand taller, your chin is raised, and you're more empowered. So
You're incredible,
Incredible.
Adrienne. You're an alchemist, and you could see just. I mean, even earlier when Adrienne asked me a question that I was not planning to even bring up my dance aspect in this whole conversation, and she made sure to highlight something that is a strength of mine, which I wasn't going to even talk about. And that is one of her huge gifts is raising
Mhm.
people up and seeing you like really truly what is the essence, like essential oil essence.
mhm.
And like, I mean, I makes me, I mean, so thankful that these are my spiritual sisters, and
Yeah.
I know
that's
we're
why
we're so lucky.
we are so lucky we found each other. And then the other thing as you were talking, Adrienne, that just popped in was when you were describing the other day about a mantra you gave to a swimmer of yours, like a teen swimmer,
Mhm.
that like you didn't even understand like how big an impact that would make for her swimming. And like, yeah, say what that was again.
She was concerned that she was slow. I'm slow. And I said, well, let's just take a moment and let's just switch that around. What if you say, I'm as fast as I want to be? Um, no, I think she said, I'm fast. And I said, well, let's continue. And I was like, how about if you add as I want to be so that you know that you have control about how fast you're going to be? And, and then there was another one that was having a cramp. And I was just like, let's just breathe through it. I know it hurts, but I release you. I release you. And they just both just like jumped right on board and were like, oh, I release you. I release you. And I went away and they were like, oh my God. And I was like, I know.
Now Adrian's whole swim team is like, I release you.
They're like
I
little
release
Buddhas
you.
swimming through
They're
the
like,
water.
people from around the
No.
nation are like, what's going on with that team? They're glowing.
That's so funny. I love that
Yeah.
so
Anyway,
much.
Rosie, how about you?
And you guys pay attention to Razi because she has a way of breaking things down and putting it in a language that is so freaking elegant. And it's just,
Oh,
talk about mantras,
stop.
learned
You're
mantras
gonna
from
make
that
me
girl.
Oh, that's
cry.
absolutely.
Um, I was just gonna say the way that y'all have described everything, I feel like I can say that. Yeah, I do some of that because y'all said it so well. Um, yeah, so what I offer with Two Wolves Wellness is also Reiki. That was my initial offering. I have a Reiki session and an intuitive Reiki session, and for me, Reiki has always been just this opportunity to come into the self. I came to Reiki with a lot of anxiety, and it was very hard for me to function on a day to day basis. Kind of like what Adrienne was saying about one of her clients outside of fear. I was very fear driven. And Reiki just became this total oasis of peace and calm and um, at first just kind of like this escape and then experiencing it more and going further in my spiritual journey I realized no, that's always with me. And so my services really, my goal is to be create an environment and an experience for someone where they can come away from the day-to-day struggle and the stress and anxiety or fear or whatever it is, and just breathe and just have a moment of peace and calm and comfort and feel safe. um, I have some clients that fall asleep on the table and they wake up feeling really great. um, and that's perfect. You know, we don't have to be totally conscious of like everything that's happening as long as you're open to the experience. Whatever needs to move through you is moving through you. Um, so yeah, so my biggest goal with all of my services is being that state of peace and calm. And I'm such an earth baby, and I'm learning more and more every day of how I work with Mother Earth and how important it is to be in touch with our physical elements and our spiritual elements and how it all works together. Um, that a lot of my offerings are kind of evolving into that as well. But I use cards, and anybody that's come for a session with me, kind of like Melinda was saying, although mine kind of flips, we start with Reiki, and then, you know, once we kind of journey through whatever needed to clear, we can come out the other side and kind of ask some clarifying questions of what might have come up, in their mind as they were receiving it. So I use cards every single day. They're just such a beautiful tool to kind of like what you all were describing, present information and questions. Because sometimes you might come without something specific. You might just be like, I feel off. And that's a totally perfect starting point of just feeling like something is imbalanced. And we can run with that. And we can work through with Reiki, and then we can work through with cards, just unpacking and seeing what gets brought up to, you know, your attention. I also recently broke apart my card service. So if someone was interested in just having a card reading, that's now something that I do. It's a little bit, you know, it's just like a bite-sized piece to kind of step into this work. And like I said, I'll include all of our websites and information. You can find it. And then on top of all the importance of Mother Earth, I'm trying to think of when this will go live. I think the information will be live, but I will be offering a monthly class starting in March that will talk through Earth and the elements and how we work with it so that you can be, given tools to help yourself, just work with the uniqueness of the elements and understand how they're represented and how you function, how they're shown an example in nature around us, and how we can utilize the energies that they present to us in ways that help us stay balanced and aligned. And yeah, Adrienne mentioned mantras. I mean, mantras were and have always been and continue to be huge tools to me. And so sometimes in sessions, something may come up, and I might share that with my clients and have little mantras as well. But there's just, like you guys have said, like the way that this work evolves, there's no like exact, you're going to show up, we're going to do this, we're going to do, like everything is very unique to the individual. And if you know, through intuition, we feel that we're going to go down a certain path, then we're going to use those tools. I mean, I've got sound bowls and tuning forks, and it just kind of all, you know, it's just this beautiful flow of what's needed in the session. And it's just a really beautiful time. I really like to say that when people come to a session, like it's a moment of self-care, and that in itself is such a gift. And sometimes we can really benefit from the help of somebody external in that process of, you know, trying to care for ourselves, love for ourselves, and understand who we are and how we operate. And yeah, it's just a beautiful type of work. And I feel like collectively, the things that we're seeing in the hardships and the pain and the uncertainty and kind of the chaos of wondering, like, is everything kind of burning to the ground? these services that we all offer are really powerful and, well, I was going to say gentle. They can be gentle, but they're exactly what you need in the moment to be able to find your own center and your grounding and your anchor, and to be able to then go back out into the world and function in a way that you feel resonates with you and gives you peace, when externally uh, it's not always the case. So yes, I think, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful line of work. And I think we're all just so grateful to be able to offer the services that we do, because it's just incredible and totally shaped our lives. And we know it's just super, super powerful for everybody.
Yeah.
And I feel so lucky.
Absolutely. I know. True.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's we know because it's helped us so much,
Mm-hmm.
and it's helped us release fears. It's helped us release doubts and worries, and I love how you put it as being very unique to the individual and just for today, whatever is the energy that is saying, yes, okay, I'll make this shift. I'll take this little step. It's not going to, doesn't have to be like, it's not like you're going on an LSD trip when you're not ready, and like, which people do out there, and they're actually, that's really leaving a lot of people like in a state of disharmony. The goal is ultimately, that changes sometimes do need to be made in life, but with compassion and self-care and like tools, that you can walk through those changes and make those new choices with a feeling of safety and grace and knowing that other people have walked it before you. And and the other thing is, Rosalyn, I know, has some incredible like guided journeys that are free,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
where you can go. I mean, listen to her beautiful voice. Makes you just feel so safe and so reassured. And also just like there are concrete steps you can take. And yeah, she is an incredible earth guide. So yeah.
Thank you.
Taurus, I need that so much. I'm so Pisces. I'm just like
She's
so
brought me
good.
down so many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully in the best of ways.
Yes, not in the only the best way.
Like, I need help. Sell me, please. And she's like, just and do this and do this and do this. So yeah, I just yeah, one of the free things that I am offering now too, I forgot to mention, sorry guys,
Mention
was
it.
the free coaching through the transits, just as the transits are happening, just the free coaching through that. And that's on my YouTube page. But then I'm also doing the life chapters with Yolanda, and that has just been so mind opening as well. And the feedback that I get is just, I when you add the extra layer on, and for me, it's like whatever resonates with you. If something doesn't resonate with you, just let it go through it. No big deal. Just whatever resonates with you. But I think that I don't want to take away anything from you, but I think when you look at it like this, if it resonates with you, that's a part of awareness as well. If it doesn't resonate with you, guess what? That too is self-awareness. So like you're doing the work, the practice, whether it resonates with you or not. So no judgment, no criticism there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a
And
really
I
good
think
point.
that goes hand in hand too. I know when you first seek out support, sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating. You don't know what to expect. And I think with all of our services, what we can confidently say is you'll receive exactly what you need to receive in the moment. It's not going to overwhelm you. It's not going to, um, you know, send you spiraling. Like we're not going to like just throw things at you and kind of throw you out in the ocean. Like it's when you do integrate energy healing and different tools within it, it's always what you're ready to understand and receive at that moment. So it's really, really incredible that way.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I meet people where they are. I love that you said into the ocean. I can teach you how to swim.
Don't worry.
And I like to laugh at even crap stuff in life. So I think laughter is a huge alchemist, and I can find humor in a lot of situations. If you like that approach, I will happy to laugh with you about all the crap.
Yeah.
But I also have, you can go to my website, speakeasyreiki.com, and you can have a free, you can click on a link and it just says ask a question of the cards, anonymous, and you can just put a question, and I will do a little reading, and I put it on my Instagram. So people
Beautiful.
have asked little questions like, even like, what's the energy around this choice, and then if I go through and I try to get to them all and post that on the website and on the Instagram. So that's kind of just fun. Yeah.
I love that. That's really fun. I didn't know it was submitted. That makes it
Yeah.
even more
Click
wonderful.
on the link, and it's anonymous. I will not. You don't have
Mhm.
to say your name. Yep.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
I
Yep.
love that.
Well, like I mentioned, we will make sure to include all of our information so that you can find it. Always a great place to start is our Instagrams, and that kind of leads you everywhere as well. But I'll make sure that we include everything. And yeah, I hope that as you listen to this episode, our personal journeys, whether they resonated with you, I just hope that you understand that everybody kind of reaches these points where we know something is happening and we're trying to understand who we are and we don't know where to turn. And so, as long as you're open, there's so many services and communities that are available to help you. And if any of us can do that for you, we would be over the moon and more than happy to kind of walk that path. But yeah, just know that you are totally capable of being supported.
Yeah,
And
and you are intuitive, and you do
mhm,
know within yourself your answers, and we are supporting you in that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. All right. Well, that's us for today. So we are so appreciative that you are here listening, and we will see you very, very soon. Bye.
Mwah.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.